Hello, this is Tim Law with Playing It Forward Coaching and Self-Reliance U. Always remember that your life, your goals, your dreams are always essential. Apply combined wisdom to your life every single day. And one of the guys we have here with us today can certainly apply some wonderful wisdom is my very, very good friend, Kevin Crane, who I met many years ago up at the wonderful town of Hancock. Had him in school as a student. Learned to have a great deal of respect for this guy and his family. And so, Kevin, welcome. Glad you're here. Tell us about yourself a little bit, and we'll roll.
Great. Well, thank you very much, Tim, for having me on your program. And congratulations on all your success. As you pointed out, I first met you at Hancock Central School in Hancock, New York, a very sleepy little town. Many, many moons ago. I guess it would have been in the 1970s. Fortunately, you and I haven't changed much since then, maybe a little. I graduated in the class of 79. I played football, ran track while I was there. Just had a good time with everybody. And you were one of our younger teachers, I think, at the time. And obviously running the wrestling team, as most people know you by now, did that. And one of my fondest memories, other than helping to carry in the wrestling mat for meets with about 50 other kids, was that you had allowed me to hang a karate kicking bag in the wrestling room. As long as there was nobody else there, I could go down and kick that bag. As you know, I've done martial arts since I was 16, and I always appreciated that you allowed me to do it. And you were an outstanding mentor to myself, as well as to probably thousands of others.
Well, I appreciate that, Kevin, and thank you. I do remember, fondly. It's what is so cool is to see, people like yourselves, and I've said this with some of the other interviews I've been on, to see them go from kind of these little boys that are in junior high to become grown men by the time they're juniors and seniors and beyond in high school. And it's so cool to see the the blossoming where you're much more, you become much more outgoing and everything like that. The communication skills really prosper. Tell us about your background, Kevin. You were a federal agent. Tell us a little bit about that. Maybe your college background, where you went for that, and because that's a very cool story that you've actually interviewed literally thousands of different people for the for the federal government.
Sure. Well, there's most people who probably know me. They know that growing up in Hancock, my father, for a period of time, was the chief of police. And most of the people that would come to visit us at our home were either police officers, sheriffs, state troopers, or federal agents. So there was nowhere for me to run. So since I couldn't hide, I decided I might as well join them. Ultimately, after leaving Hancock, I went to Penn State. 4 years, was a pre-law major. I'd contemplated going to law school. Then I changed my mind and I thought I would just follow in my father's footsteps as he became a federal agent. And back in 1985, I was given a position, I guess I was just 24 at the time, to work with the Department of Defense doing security clearance, background investigations. And we did some counterintelligence work, and I was able to actually develop a lot of criminal activity, which I would share and work with other agencies. I guess because I worked so many bad or slash dirty type cases, they decided to promote me at 28 to become an assistant special agent in charge. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, I did 21 years of service. I've covered everything, probably doing about 10,000 interviews, from murderers, rapists, child abusers, drug issues, major financial type issues. It was quite interesting. Anything a human being could probably get into, I probably covered it. In fact, as you well know, some few years back, I actually wrote a book.
Yes, I definitely wanted you. I was hoping you'd have the book right there, Kevin. Yes, please.
Yeah, I'll shamelessly promote it. I'm not telling anyone to go out and buy it. That's certainly not the case. But I decided to put my investigative knowledge, skills, and abilities, if you will, into a very simple book called Access Granted,
Mhm.
which basically was written so even kids in high school could understand it. And it takes you through the whole process that people either in the military or the federal government, or if you work for a defense contractor and you require a confidential, secret, or top secret clearance, some of the things that you need to do or to be on the lookout for. And actually, you can combine these skills to apply to any job where you might need a background check. It seems like pretty
Sure.
much jobs do. And
Mhm.
if nothing else, if it's read by young people, it might actually keep them out of trouble, which might actually, be the best thing to help them proceed in life. And I'm sure that we'll touch upon that more as we go.
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And ironically, Kevin, I know I've told you this already. I've actually, I've had, some copies of your book and everything, and I've actually gotten them to some of our high school kids here at Northeastern High School, and some kids who were kind of going in that particular direction. So they've all been very, very impressed with everything you put in there, and it's absolutely anybody, like you say, that's going in any particular direction, whether it's security or like you say, just in life in general. There's some great ideas and tips in there. So yeah, it's very, very impressive work, that's for sure.
Well, I appreciate that. In fact, as a result of having written the book, I've done numerous speaking engagements, lecturing at various colleges. I've had the pleasure of being interviewed on ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox,
Mhm.
a bunch of radio interviews. But I always remember the very first TV interview I did, which was in Baltimore. I brought my wife Phyllis with me, and I remember stepping out of the cab that we had taken, and the first face I saw outside of that TV studio was yours. And I
Yeah,
always appreciate, and you did that at one other place. I think it was at Harrisburg. And I
right,
always
right. Mhm.
appreciated your support. You were there with me from day one when this all was happening. And I always appreciated your support.
Yeah. Well, my pleasure, Kevin, for sure. And anything you're doing like that, because I'm a big believer in uh, students, young people, teens, young adults getting, get yourself a skill, um, get a work ethic, have a work ethic, go the extra mile, and keep improving your people and communication skills. And if people will do those things, just those things right there, uh, there's no reason why they can't do very, very well in this country. But that work ethic is just so incredibly important. And as I said, it was great being able to reconnect with you after several decades of really not catching up with each other. So, what are your thoughts or ideas, Kevin, regarding teens, young adults, whether you're possibly going into college or the military or world of work? What would be some of the best advice, given your background, because you've seen, some pretty challenging scenarios on people that really, maybe have gone down the wrong road at too young of an age, and then trying to, extricate themselves out of there. What would be some of your main thoughts and advice for that age group?
Sure, I can think of so many different things, and it's probably not unlike what many teachers or guidance counselors or even our parents would have told us. But I think to start off with, I think it's good for everybody to maintain good health physically and mentally. I
Hmm.
think everything starts with yourself.
Hmm.
If your car is not working properly, for instance, you're not going to be able to get back and forth to where you need to go in life. The same with your body, your mind, your spirit. You really need to keep those in tune. And you don't have to be a triathlete. You don't have to be a black belt. As you know, I've done martial arts 43 years and
Hmm.
third degree black belt. I've promoted a lot of people, and we would go to national tournaments and do very well. You don't have to do that, but you do have to take care of yourself. So if you're a smoker, you might want to stop. If you're drinking heavy, again, consider what you're doing. The same with drug usage. These are also things that could come up in a background investigation covering alcohol and drugs.
Hmm.
And if you have a problem with those things, it will absolutely come up somewhere. So I would say stop what you're doing, think about what you're doing, and think about what you want to do for your future. And if the actions that you're living are going to have a negative impact or could, redirect yourself. And that could start quite literally in high school. Um, After you do that, I think you really have to decide for yourself, do you want to go to college, or would you prefer to work in the trade industry? Back in the old days, they used to really push for college, but I think today many people are, subscribing to the fact that we need more people in the trades, and you can make a lot of money
Mhm.
being an electrician, a plumber, a welder, whatever it may be. We just don't have enough of all of them. So that would be an option. And I would tell people, don't rule that out. Um, Once you've decided what you want to do, and think about the field that you want to go into, I highly recommend. And when I lecture at colleges, I tell people this as well as high schools, try to find a mentor. Um,
Mhm.
I'm not necessarily saying a guidance counselor in school, or not necessarily a career counselor if you go to college, but find somebody that's in the field that you'd like to work, and see if you can make a connection with them. Put together a little resume, send it out to them, introduce yourself basically, and let them know that you're looking for somebody to provide some guidance as you are interested in getting into the field. And
Mhm.
some people may not have the time for that, but people like you and I would certainly do what we could to help as many people as we could in that type of a situation. And you don't know until you try. And there's so many other tips we could give, but I think to kind of sum it up a little bit, those would probably be a good start to help almost anybody.
Sure. No, great points, Kevin. And as a longtime teacher and coach, coach wrestling a lot, as well as currently coach a guys and girls tennis team up at Northeastern High School. Great school district, phenomenal leadership there and everything. Great kids, great staff. And when you can't wait to get on the courts every day with the kids, I mean that's certainly a good sign. And at least as far as I'm concerned, what you're saying makes so much sense because it's literally priceless when you can see a kid that they kind of get it as far as the skill you're trying to teach them or whatever, and you just see them light up and you see the parents light up. I mean, it's a phenomenal feeling. It really is. And as I said, that's probably something that really really gets my motor running from the standpoint of seeing kids that really bring that fire and desire. And I just tell them, listen, I said, if you bring the fire and desire on the courts or the mat, we can help you become a wrestler, a good wrestler, or a good tennis player, or whatever sport it is. But the student has to bring that fire on the inside. There's no question about it.
Absolutely. I think a lot of those principles we applied in the martial arts as
Mm-hmm.
we promote, I don't know, thousands of kids and adults over the years. And as you know, but not everybody knows, my wife and I have owned and operated a child care center
Mm-hmm.
where we live outside of Philadelphia for the last 12 years. We were voted the best of Delaware County as far as
Several,
child
several,
care.
several times, Kevin.
Yeah,
Several times. Yeah.
2014 through 2020. So it's
Wow.
quite a few times, and
Yes.
so we take pride in that. But it's the bottom line is, I think as we progress through life, and you don't have to be where we're at. It can be almost any time, as long as you're able to help other people
Mm-hmm.
um, to have a better life, a better career, better relationships. We sort of have an obligation to help each other, and it doesn't matter what your political affiliation is. It doesn't
Mm-hmm.
matter your race, your gender, sexual preference. None of us care about that. At least if you're a good human being, you don't
Mm-hmm.
care about that. All you care about is the quality of somebody as being a human being. And, it's very rewarding to be able to give what you can to help others. I even do a scholarship at our old high school, Hancock Central School, every year.
Mm-hmm.
And, I read the essays, and sometimes it brings tears to my eyes when I see what some of the kids are going through. But I know that my wife Phyllis and I do the best we can to help as many kids as we can through the scholarship. And again, there's nothing more rewarding than trying to help others in life. And I think we've all received some help along the way. and we have an obligation to give back to others. And I know that that's what you and I are trying to do.
Yeah, yeah, very well said, Kevin. And what's interesting is that, I always had a lot of love and respect for my mom and dad, who were probably the two best team players I ever knew. And I was the oldest of six, and James and Alice Law, they had their hands full with us, but the worst thing you could hear is from my mom was, wait till your dad gets home. That would straighten us up pretty quick for sure. But what was interesting, and it made me think about it, was, I always appreciated them. But within the first month of teaching, in my first teaching position in Hancock as a 22-year-old, I really appreciated them because, I saw, kids, and this is true all over the place, that unfortunately don't have that great level of, a very supportive family like I was blessed to have coming up, and my brothers and sisters as well. And so that was something that kind of stuck with me very early on. If there's any way that it kind of help, kids, get ahead or whatever, it's always been kind of a passion. And so it's just the idea of seeing them, if they have that desire, that fire on the inside that they want to become somebody, and you and I, we're just kind of, okay, you've got that. Let's see where we can direct you toward a passion that you have.
Exactly. Coming from a small town, I mean, again, you watched us grow up. Wasn't a whole lot of opportunities there, but we had good values,
Mhm.
good work ethic instilled in us by our parents and our teachers. And there's so many people. I know you've interviewed a bunch already for your program here, but there's so many people who have done so well for themselves because they had those good values put into them. And as you said, not all the kids today necessarily get that.
Mhm.
So if we can be a positive role model or an influence in them, again, we have that obligation. And I'm happy that I've been able to do what I could for as many as I could. And I'm sure you have the same feeling.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely, Kevin. And what's ironic is that with the huge number of negative models that are out there, whether you're talking, television, social media, in print. I mean, it's just there's just so many, and it just seems that there's a lot of people that just are, going toward that lowest common denominator, versus trying to do their best. I mean, none of us are perfect, let's face it. But, just try to have some standards, try to be a decent example for young, impressionable minds, because the younger the child, the more impact negatively on their brain if, with a bad example. And, so just that idea of what you're saying, does make a lot of sense. Kevin, this has been fantastic. Any other kind of last thoughts or anything like that before we wrap it up here?
Well, I think for myself, I've been very blessed. I pray every day. I thank God for what I've been able to achieve. And I pray for a lot of people, actually. I think even especially with what's going on in society
Mhm.
right now, we all need a lot of prayers. But as far as if you really want to make something of yourself, uh, give yourself time, um, do the work, get the guidance. And I have a little saying, it's not my saying, but we've said it for years and years. Um, it, I don't know who came up with it, but basically it's um, conceive it, believe it, achieve it.
Mhm.
So if you
Mhm.
can come up with what it is you want to do and you work hard towards it and you focus on it, you're more likely to obtain it. And then once you've achieved any success, now it's your turn to help other people do the same. So
Sure,
that's
sure.
how I live, and that's what I'm going to continue to do. And I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you about this.
Yeah. Well, this has been, as I said, Kevin, it's been great. And again, my program, I refer to it as Playing It Forward Coaching, and it's exactly what you described. And anybody who's listening to this, if you haven't subscribed to the Playing It Forward YouTube channel, Playing It Forward Coaching, I'd really appreciate it. Kevin, this has been fantastic. And please stick around and chat with you here after I cut this off here. Okay. So, but thank you so very, very much. This is great.
Thank you for having me, Tim. I appreciate you. Appreciate you.
Yes, sir, my man. Yes, sir.